So,
bit of mauling.
A lot of mauling. All the mauling. You would be appalled with all the mauling.
No.
It's appallingly mauling.
I see.
Okay. This is not very punny.
Now, one of the things that is distinctive about the Fouke Monster is it apparently only has three toes instead of the 5 that most Sasquatch/Bigfoot creatures have.
3?
3.
Okay.
So that is something else to keep in mind about the Fouke Monster. Now, Fouke has embraced their monster. In fact, there is a convenience store / mini grocery in the area called the Monster Mart. And it looks like there's a big hairy monster face on it.
Yes.
It's the sort of thing you would run into in a video game where you had to kill a lot of Fouke monsters.
What's it called?
The Monster Mart. The Fouke Monster Mart.
Oh, okay.
Basically, type it into Google, you'll see it.
Now, we need to get into the most important encounter first. And then there are other sightings and things we can get into. But the most important encounter happened in 1971 between Bobby, Elizabeth, and Don Ford.
I see.
So it's a family that encountered said creature. But before we get into that, I think we're going to take a couple minutes and hear a word from our sponsors.
Well, yeah, because sponsors are important.
Yes, they are. And we have good sponsors.
Sure.
So, without further ado, or a don't.
Ha 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 ha.
A word from our sponsors. Wasn't that interesting?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
It was more just interesting when you smacked yourself and I jumped because I thought you were gonna hit me.
Like he hits you so often.
No, he doesn't. But I got scared.
When have I ever hit you? I don't hit you.
No.
No, but I just got scared.
You got shook, Dad.
You got shooketh.
So, let's get into the Ford's encounter. This is the most famous encounter with the Fouke Monster there was. It was actually immortalized in a film called The Legend of Boggy Creek, which you can watch on YouTube to this very day.
Fancy.
Yes. It's considered a cult classic as far as horror movies go.
Cool.
Now, Bobby and Elizabeth had only lived in the home for about a week, and they had heard scufflings and growling nearby in the evening for most of that time, but they didn't have any idea what it was. They assumed it was some sort of local animal, a wolf or something. They just didn't put any worry into it, you know?
Sure. They're braver than me, because if I'm hearing growling and scuffling, I'm calling animal control.
Now, the Fouke Monster is described by most eyewitnesses to be roughly 7 feet tall, weighing in at 250 to 300 pounds. Some reports even claim that the creature's chest is phenomenally wide, some estimating as much as 3 feet, which that is a stout creature, let me say. And there are those who say that when it really gets going, it sort of goes on its haunches. It drops and sort of goes on its haunches for more speed, but...
Like it goes to run like a cannon.
Yeah, kind of.
Can you not make me laugh with pictures of opossums?
This is actually just a possum.
Oh, okay. I forgot there's a difference.
So, on the night of May 1st, 1971, Elizabeth Ford was sleeping on her couch.
On the couch.
Something reached through the screen window and tried to grab her. Something very furry and hairy. It didn't get a hold of her, or rather, it got a hold of her hair, but not enough of it that it was able to hold on to her. She was able to pull away fairly quickly without losing too much hair from the creature.
See.
It was loud, it was roaring, it was not happy. And she was scared to death. Rightly so, when you've been woken up from a couch nap by a big hairy thing reaching through your window and grabbing your hair.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's not very nice.
Now,
not a very neighborly thing to do, if I might say.
Now, at that moment, Bobby Ford and his brother Don happen to be coming back from a hunting trip, and they see this thing on their porch reaching into Bobby's home. First thing they do is they fire their guns, because, well, you got them, you might as well.
Well, sure.
Seems a bit dangerous to me because it is reaching into your house, and there's people in there, and you may not want them full of holes. But that's what they did. And so the creature took off.
Well, yeah, you would do that if somebody was shooting at you.
And so they all piled into the car and they head to the sheriff. And they tell the sheriff. Well, the sheriff comes out and he begins to look around. Doesn't see any blood, doesn't see any hair, sees that the screen windows is a bit bust and that some of the siding is scratched, but really nothing else. And he basically tells them, well, whatever it was, it's gone now. If it happens again, come and get me again.
So in other words, he kind of blew him off.
Kind of. Or rather, he's a small town sheriff, so maybe he thinks they've been drinking. Maybe he thinks they've been fighting.
That's what I would think. So I can't really blame him there.
Now, so they returned home, and it's a little after midnight. They're not sleeping real well.
Well, yeah. I mean, that doesn't exactly say equal when you've got creepy, furry, hairy things clawing through your windows in the middle of the night.
Normally I like...
And so Bobby is on the porch having a cigarette, just looking outside, when this thing comes running up. He didn't hear it. He didn't see it until it was almost on him. It grabbed him by the shoulder, and it hurled him quite a ways.
I see. So in other words, these guys, you know, that whole welcome to the neighborhood committee just really didn't work out with them.
No, because at this point they've been in the house 5 days.
Yeah, right. So, you know, the welcome wagon, not so welcome.
No. Apparently the only person the town sent was the Boggy Creek Monster, and bye!
See, they really needed the kids from Scooby-Doo to have a flat tire and stuff.
Now, during that encounter, Bobby did not have his gun, but Don heard him yelling, comes out with his.
Well, yeah, because that's what you do when you live by a creek with monsters.
And he begins shooting. Now, they both claim that at different points they hit the creature. They know they hit it.
The creature didn't react.
Not saying it didn't react, but they know they hit the creature. So, Elizabeth takes Bobby to the hospital.
Okay.
St. Michael Hospital in Texarkana. And he had some scratches across his back and was treated for a mild case of shock. Don went to get the sheriff again because he'd been so neighborly and saying, well, if it comes back, let me know.
Well, sure.
Well, it's back.
Well, yeah.
It's back and we're calling you now, so come out.
It's back. We're letting you know. Let's go.
And the sheriff sees signs of a scuffle and some scratches, but again, not much else.
Well,
So you're not going to do anything, sir? All right.
well, I guess that's kind of how this goes. I don't.
While he's in Texarkana, the local paper comes out because they catch wind of it, and they ask questions. Well, so Texarkana publishes it. Well, 1971, this was one of the biggest stories there was. People came from all over to look for this thing. Many of them stopping by the Ford's place.
Well, yeah.
At this point,
you're the people who got attacked by the monster?
At this point, Bobby is pretty well done. He likes hunting as much as the next guy. He wanted to live this kind of rural country life, but he wants no truck with this three-toed, red-eyed, antisocial, smelly, hairy swamp monster.
I see.
And I can't say I blame him, because you throw a swamp monster at me, I'm not going to come back to your town either.
Yeah,
I'm probably going to throw a bomb and leave the place with sunglasses and act like a cool kid. That's what I'm about to do.
Now, during the following months,
I know, right?
sightings continued to be reported by local residents and this sudden influx of tourists they had.
right.
Which wouldn't they be murder tourists, or at least monster tourists?
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't think those kinds of words were a thing back in the 70s. I could be wrong.
Yeah, you're probably right. Now, one of the people that reported it was a Mr. D. Woods and his wife Wilma.
Wilma D. Woods.
And
Sorry, go ahead.
And as well as a Mrs. R. Sedgrass, who reported seeing an ape-like creature crossing Highway 71.
Let's see.
Several footprints were also discovered during this time. The best known were discovered in a soybean field owned by a local gas station operator, Willie Smith. These prints were scrutinized by game warden Carl Gallion, who was unable to confirm or disprove their authenticity. Like footprints found at the Ford residence, these prints seemed to indicate that the Fouke monster had only 3 toes.
Well, maybe that came from all of the gunfire.
That's what I was thinking.
Funny you should put it that way.
Yeah.
After the incident at the Ford residence,
Uh-huh.
Southern State College archaeologist Dr. Frank Shambaugh said that he thought the tracks were almost certainly a hoax because they only had 3 toes, and that there's no species of ape man, or anything else that would be 3-toed.
Mm-hmm.
Also, all primates and hominids, both modern, historical, have at least 5 toes. Plus, they are diurnal, not nocturnal. So, and he says the region has no history of primates ever, so it couldn't be a remnant population.
Mm-hmm.
Little Rock radio station KAAY offered a $1,090 bounty on the creature that if you could prove it existed. And
Back in 71, that was a booger ton of money.
it was a booger ton of money. And many attempts were made to track the creature, including teams using scent dogs, but they were unable to locate the creature. In 1973, the story of Bobby Ford's encounter was turned into a semi-factual documentary-style horror movie called The Legend of Boggy Creek. The legend,
as aforementioned in this podcast.
Right. The movie played in drive-in theaters around the country, grossed over $22 million, making it the 7th highest grossing movie of that year. The movie was shot mostly on location in Fouke and nearby Texarkana, though some scenes were filmed in Shreveport, Louisiana.